Hey there, Washington Commanders fans. Welcome to another special video on our channel. Today, we're diving deep into the boldest predictions for the 2024 NFL season. And let me tell you, what we have here will stir the heart of any fan. Stay tuned until the end, because this news is packed with exclusive information and insights you won't want to miss. And don't forget, our last piece of news is always a very interesting analysis. So, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel now and leave a like to strengthen our community. Let's get started. Now, let's get straight to the point. The Washington Commanders have some tricks up their sleeve for this season that promise to shake up the NFL. With a new head coach, Dan Quinn, and a new quarterback, Jayden Daniels, the team seems to be reinventing itself. But the burning question is, will these new changes bring the results we're hoping for, or will it be another one of those frustrating seasons? I know many of you are already skeptical after all. It's hard to keep the faith when you're a Commanders fan. But folks, I believe this season could be different, and I'll explain why. Let's start by talking about Jayden Daniels. The prediction is bold, but believe me, it has merit. Our new QB could reach the 4,500 total yards mark. It might seem like a distant dream, but if we consider the volume of play and the strategy Quinn intends to adopt, it makes sense. Daniels is expected to throw a lot, especially because, unfortunately, we're expected to be behind on the scoreboard in many games. And that's where the logic comes in. The more you throw, the more chances you have to accumulate yards. You remember Cam Newton, right? Well, in 2011, he also had an explosive rookie season. So why can't we believe that Daniels could do the same, or even better? And that's not all. In addition to the 4,500 total yards, we're talking about a Daniels who will run too. If he can maintain an average of 35 rushing yards per game, he could easily reach 600 rushing yards for the season. This, combined with a good performance in the passing game, puts this bold prediction much closer to reality. And for the skeptics out there, I say, hold on. Quinn knows that Daniels doesn't need to be the team leader right off the bat. He just needs to play well and be a good teammate. The rest, my friends, comes with time and the confidence he'll gain throughout the season. But we're not just talking about Jayden Daniels. Looking at the team as a whole, there are reasons for optimism. One of the predictions gaining traction is the possibility of the Commanders finishing the season above 500. I know. It's a risky prediction. But let's think together. A 9-8 record is totally achievable if we consider that we could surprise in some games. We sweep the Giants, who haven't been such a strong opponent in recent years, and snatch a victory from the Eagles. Is it possible? Totally. Now, you might be thinking, but what about the Cowboys? That's where the fighting spirit that Quinn is bringing to the team comes in. He knows the Cowboys are a tough opponent, but he also knows that on any given day, with the right strategy, we can come out on top. And I'll tell you something, folks. This kind of mentality is what can make all the difference. You need to believe and, of course, play with everything you've got. And what about our defense? Many fans are worried, and with good reason. We entered the season ranked as the 31st defense in the NFL. But I'm telling you, don't underestimate the impact a coach like Dan Quinn can have. The aggressive playing style he's implementing could bring surprises. The defense will take more risks, and that alone can result in big plays. Of course, there will be risky moments that won't work out. But the important thing is that our defense will be more combative and could, yes, finish the season among the top 20. It's not an easy task, but with aggressive play and the leadership of veterans like Bobby Wagner, the possibility is there. Speaking of impact, we can't forget about Austin Ekeler. The prediction is that he'll score double-digit touchdowns this year. Some may doubt, but if we look at how he'll be used, both running and receiving passes, it's clear that he has every chance of reaching this mark. Ekeler is a versatile player, and believe me, he still has a lot of gas in the tank, even at 29 years old. He doesn't need to replicate his reception numbers from past seasons to be decisive. Especially in the red zone, he can be a deadly weapon for the Commanders. And if there's one thing we've learned from football, it's that the red zone is where games are decided. And what about our rookie Luke McCaffrey? Folks, if you like bold bets, this one's for you. With Jahan Dotson's departure, McCaffrey becomes one of the main threats in our passing attack. He may not have the elite speed that many expect, but he makes up for it with game intelligence and a unique ability to be a mismatch in the red zone. If he can get 70 receptions and 5 touchdowns, he's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. And let's face it, who wouldn't like to see another McCaffrey shining in the NFL? So, folks, thinking about it, what makes a season memorable? Is it just the wins, or is it the ability to exceed expectations and challenge the odds? I'd say it's a bit of both, and that's exactly what the Commanders are trying to do. When I look at our schedule, I see opportunities. Yes, I also see challenges, but it's precisely in these moments that a team's character is forged. It's in the toughest games that we discover what we're really made of. Let's be honest, nobody's expecting the Washington Commanders to win the Super Bowl this year. But who said we can't dream? And that's exactly the spirit we need to adopt. Each game is a new chance to show that we can compete with any team. And if we maintain that focus, who knows what we can achieve? Oh, and before I forget, we have to talk about our division rivals. You know, Giants, Eagles, and Cowboys. These games always have a special flavor, and beating rivals is always a priceless feeling, especially when nobody expects it. And I believe that this year we have a real chance to make some noise in the division. We just need to believe and fight for every yard, every point, every victory. One thing is certain, folks. Dan Quinn's arrival has brought new energy to the team. You must have noticed how the atmosphere has changed in practice, and that's no coincidence. Quinn is known for his ability to motivate and bring out the best in his players. And it's not just the fans who are excited. The players themselves are feeling this change in the air. Jonathan Allen and Darren Payne, for example, seem rejuvenated with the new defensive philosophy. And that's exactly what we need. A team with fighting spirit and willing to give their all on the field. Now, let's talk a bit more about the defense. One thing that gets me excited is the potential to see explosive plays. When a defense plays aggressively, what happens? Big plays. And that's what we need to change the dynamics of games. Let's remember that in the NFL, it's not enough to just have a good defense. You need a defense that can change the course of the game in the blink of an eye. And that's what Quinn is trying to build. And I, as a fan, am totally on board with this idea. Speaking of changes, another key piece for this season is our offensive line. Historically, we've suffered a lot from pressure from opponents. But with some new additions and technique adjustments, it seems we're on the right track to better protect our quarterback. And this protection will be vital for Jayden Daniels to develop and show his full potential. After all, a confident QB is a dangerous QB for opponents. And who knows? Maybe we're about to witness the birth of a new star in Washington. And speaking of stars, I know many of you are curious to see how Luke McCaffrey will perform. The kid has shown incredible potential, and the fact that he's standing out in practice is a great sign. Of course, the path to becoming Rookie of the Year isn't easy, but if he keeps up this pace, there's no limit to what he can achieve. And I ask, who wouldn't like to see another McCaffrey shining on NFL fields? Finally, fans, these are the predictions for the Washington Commanders 2024 season. I know many of them are bold, but believe me, that's what makes football so exciting. We never know what's going to happen. And before I wrap up, I want to hear from you. Which of these predictions do you think is most likely to happen? And which one seems totally crazy? Leave your opinions in the comments, and let's cheer together for this season to be unforgettable. Now, let's dive into a news story that's stirring up the fan base and could change the course of our season. Jahan Dotson has been traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, and now the big question arises. Is Robert Woods, the Texans veteran, the missing piece to fill this gap? Stay with me until the end of the video, because this analysis will give us plenty to talk about, and I promise you won't want to miss a single detail. The trade of Jahan Dotson to the Eagles was a decision that caught many by surprise. Dotson had been showing incredible potential and seemed to be a key piece for the Commanders' future. But with his departure, Washington's receiver room has become much lighter. Now the question remains, how will the team fill this void? Could veteran Robert Woods be the answer? And more importantly, would this be a good move for us? Stay tuned until the end to hear my opinion on this possibility. Why Robert Woods, you ask? Bleacher Report released an intriguing article suggesting that Woods, currently with the Houston Texans, could be released soon, and that the Commanders could benefit from signing him. Now let's be real. Woods is a well-known name with a solid career and plenty of experience. He brought consistency and leadership to the Texans, but due to the rise of young talents like Nico Collins and Tank Dell, it seems Woods might be on his way out. And that's where the Commanders come into play. Would he be a smart addition for us? Or would we just be betting on another veteran piece with no future? The reality is that the situation in Houston is no longer favorable for Woods. The Texans' offense is changing rapidly, with new players taking over the field. C.J. Stroud, the young quarterback, is creating special chemistry with his younger receivers. For Woods, at 32 years old, this means he doesn't fit perfectly into this new era in Houston. Even so, last season, he managed to contribute 40 receptions for 426 yards and a touchdown. Is that enough to justify his arrival in Washington? The issue here is clear. We need a veteran presence in the offense, especially now that Dotson is gone. Bleacher Report mentions that both the Steelers and the Commanders could benefit from a presence like Woods. He may not be the Brandon Ayuk many of us were hoping for, but he still offers an experienced and reliable presence. And let's face it, folks, with Jayden Daniels taking the lead as our quarterback, he needs all the weapons he can get. Could Woods be that guy? Or should we continue looking for a younger, more promising alternative? Let's think a bit about our current situation, folks. We have a team that's clearly in a rebuilding phase and seeking to establish itself in the league. What we really need is stability and consistency. Signing a veteran like Woods could bring exactly that. An anchor for our offense, someone with on-field experience to help guide the younger players. But we also have to consider the long-term impact. Would he fit Daniels' playing style? Would we get enough return on this investment, especially considering his age and the fact that he's leaving a team where he couldn't establish himself? Adam Peters and his recruitment team are in a tricky situation. They need to not only trim the current roster, but also look for ways to improve the team with players released from other teams. If Woods is indeed released, the Commanders should at least consider him as an option. He won't solve all our problems, of course, but he could be an important piece to complement what we already have. Plus, as the season progresses, you never know when an injury or other need might arise. Having an experienced player like Woods on the bench could be an unexpected trump card. What do you think? Would Robert Woods be a good addition to our roster, or is it better to invest in a younger, long-term solution? Leave your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. The season is just beginning, and our team needs the support of each one of you. Let's go, Commanders! So, fans, the big question is Robert Woods the missing piece to give our offense a new boost? Or would this just be another desperate attempt to fill a void? Is it worth the risk? Stay tuned and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss any news.